secret to success without early mornings. Oh, yeah. True story, apparently. Can you reach the top without being a 5 a.m. club member? No. Get up! Good morning, good morning. Yeah, another loop begins today. Welcome to Mornings in the Lab, where we explore growth, success, and redefining the rules to achieve those goals. Hey, I'm your host, I'm Keith Bilous, and before we jump into things, R-rated experience coming up here today on a Monday. Just telling, just giving you the warning. And if you got those little children's around, the little minions, grab the headphones, stick them in the ears, because today we're diving into the secret to success without early mornings. And I know in the journey, the old Coach Flynn drops an F-bomb every now and then. Hey, her last name doesn't start with an F on for no reason. No, true story. So put those headphones in the ears. Protect the children from Coach Flynn. She might just come drop some F-bombs, and John and Marty and myself along the way as well. But hey, anyways, we've all heard the saying. Maybe you haven't. No, maybe you haven't. We've all heard the saying. The early bird catches the worm. Yeah, that's true. Yeah. But is that the only way to make it? Is it, can you have success without getting your ass out of bed first thing in the morning? We're going to challenge that idea today. Success is not just about waking up early. No, it's about making smart use of your time. And of course, I got the crew here with me over there. Yeah, over there is CMartyFit. And just over there, we got Jon Andersen. And of course, over there is Kristina Flynn. And that guy on the other side of the glass pressing the buttons, that's producer Jimmy over in the back. And also, of course, we're going to be joined by a couple guests here today. Michael Kainatsky, otherwise known as Ken from Barbie, and Anthony Payne joining us. Hey, the entertainer. I think we got our own Bruno Mars joining us here today on the show, who will bring their unique insights to our discussions today. Plus, oh yes, I got a couple curious conversations happening during the morning loop, and an even more curious conversation happening in Morning Loop Reloaded. So if you're interested and curious about what comes up in the first 15 minutes of the show, I invite you to stick around. And then in the second hour, it's going to be crazy as well. Of course, we got In the Gym with John and Marty. George Andersen joining us today for Protein Break. And of course, at the end of the second hour, myself and Kristina Flynn are digging into business and branding. And then, of course, we have the Community Corner. And hey, remember, coming up next month, middle of next week, November's no month. Oh, yeah, true story. Yep. It's the time of the month you can reflect and say, all right, I got to say no to a bunch of things so I can say yes to something, because you can't have both. You don't have all that time in your life where you can just keep saying yes, and achieve all your goals. No, it's not going to happen. You're going to have to say no to a lot of things before you can say yes to something substantial. So think about that. We're going to be talking a lot about that in November. But hey, before we go any further, producer Jimmy, let's roll around. I'm going to switch cameras to that one over there, and we're going to bring up the crew to see what they're all wearing today. Let's see. We got Marty in the, I think it's brown. I think it's the brown Less Brunches, More Crunches shirt with the red heads. Oh, yes, I got it right. And
no time.
And I have, I got Kristina in black on black on black. And of course, I got Johnny in, what do I got Johnny in? I got Johnny in the black on black. Oh, he's fuck average here today. So John's showing up, baby, not being average. And of course, we got, who do we got here in the comments this morning? We got Alex. We got, I don't know who else we got there in the comments. But good morning, guys. How are you today?
Good morning. Good morning.
Ooh, good morning. Good morning.
It's another beautiful day, baby. It's another beautiful day.
Another loop.
Yeah.
A day? What are you talking about, day,
Come
Johnny?
on. Hey, John, you've been starting off bad the past couple episodes, man.
I gotta agree, Mark.
Come on, man.
I gotta agree.
What's up with this guy, man?
He's been slacking.
Somebody got to hold him accountable. He too busy holding everybody else accountable. So
you gotta kind of lead people into these concepts. You know what I mean?
Okay.
Here we go. Here we go.
For a loop, they're like, "What the fuck's this big motherfucker talking about?" Okay, lead them out the day. Yeah, okay, a day is a 21st. It's 24 hours. It's a loop. It's 24 loop. Oh, okay. You start off talking about the loop. They're like, "This big son of a bitch has lost his mind."
Yeah, what's this loop thing he's talking about? Yeah, I don't think I've never said loop so much in my life since I've started the show, Marty. But I'm telling you, man, I'm loving it. And I'll tell you why I'm loving it, Johnny. I took a page out of your book yesterday. Yesterday at around 11:38, yesterday morning, I made the decision for what I was going to do this morning, Jon Andersen. And I said to myself, you know what? I'm taking a day of intentional rest today. And I did. Mm-hmm. And I'm an Apple Watch guy. I watch my numbers. I'm a numbers guy, like my metrics. And I'm like, okay, so, and it's not so much the numbers as it is just showing that it's just validating what I've accomplished throughout the day. Okay. So I'm like, all right, I'm going to take a day of an intentional rest today. And then when I did, I got up this morning and I crushed an intensive cardiovascular run this morning, but only because I decided yesterday at 11:38 this morning, and I did it, dude. I did it.
Yeah.
There you go.
That's it, baby.
Good job, Keith.
Yeah.
And what's a really good point is that people need to understand that everything you got to do it with intention. If you're going to rest, do it all the way. A lot of times, people, I'm going to take a rest, and they sit there and scroll on their phone. That's not rest. You're just getting your brain all twisted up. Your body's sitting there doing nothing, but you need to be intentionally resting across the board. Read, take a nap, do something that will calm your. I mean, you got to rest all the way through. We're talking physically, mentally, spiritually, emotionally, the whole kit and caboodle. Well, and I bring it up for my team here because I made a point of being intentional. I created awareness, and you know how I did it too, guys? I adopted something yesterday too. I'm going to try. Johnny, I know you're a gratitude journaling guy with your stone, and you grab your stone, you make your flint, and you make your pencil, and you grab your tablet and you scroll on it, right? I send up smoke signals so you guys know that I'm getting ready to come on the show. Yeah, exactly. And Marty and I are of a different class, right? So I decided to journal yesterday using Apple's new journal app. I said, I'm going to try this out. So I was playing around with my phone, and I got it all on there, and I, over the last, yesterday to 2 days now, I've been journaling. I've been kind of dropping my mindful thoughts into my phone journaling. But is it actually writing like with a pencil on it, or is it like typing? No. So I like to verbalize. I like to speak to my phone, or just like I'll take a picture and then I'll just kind of dump my brain into it, right? And then I'll voice to text. Okay. But the point is I did it with intention, and that to me is the point. I selected intention, I selected awareness, and I said to myself, and I even have it in my journal, I'm resting today so I can have big run tomorrow. Like Chrome. It's so helpful. It's so helpful. Yes, because you realize, okay, I'm doing this today for a better tomorrow. And if we all can grasp that concept, are you trading in today for tomorrow, or are you basically have the discipline today for a better tomorrow? And if you can have that train of thought, that will change life. Well, you know what happened, Marty? I think you do this too, man. You know what happened? But as my day went on yesterday, I found myself really excited about today. And what I mean is that I didn't look at today as a different day than yesterday. I just kind of extended the loop, right? Yesterday was like 11:30. I went through my hours. I went to bed last night knowing that I went to bed early last night so I can get up this morning, get my run in. So what I'm saying is that that decision at 11:38 set those hours of intention throughout the day, which set up today. And I know it sounds fucking cliche and somebody rolling over going, what's this guy talking about? No, but it's true, you guys. It's true. If you don't have intention, you're not going to have success. You're just not going to have any big goals. It's not going to happen. It's absolutely true. So I just think about, that's so true, brother. Think of it like this. A ship leaves a port and it has an intention to get to another port. If it doesn't have that intention, it just fucking wanders around in the ocean, never gets anywhere. Yes. That's absolutely true. That's absolutely true. Hey, Deontay, thanks for joining the show this morning. I hope you got a good opinion. We'd like to hear it. And I invite you to join the show. Offer your comments in the feed over there, because we like to have comments like yours. Oh yeah, it's absolutely true story. Yeah, 100%. Listen, I know today's topic is about finding success those early mornings, and I know I'm an early morning guy. Marty's an early morning guy. Johnny's an early morning guy. Kristina, well, we're still figuring that out. But you know what?
Early-ish? Early. I'm not early 4 a.m. I'm not there. I'm not there yet. I'm at 5:45.
That's okay. There's nothing wrong with that. Nothing wrong with that.
This is right, Marty. We just we tease through love. But I'm telling you,
Johnny's gonna try to make you feel bad about it. I'm not gonna make you feel bad about it. I like to get up.
Here's the thing. Y'all can try to make me feel bad. I'm not gonna let you make me feel bad.
I don't try to make anybody feel bad. I try to inspire and motivate. I never ever try to make someone feel bad. That's never an intention. If I do and I recognize it, I'll be the first one to apologize, because I'm telling you, what comes around goes around. You throw a turd in the universe, that fucking turd will come back and hit you right upside the face.
That's what I said it because I
know, bro. You just give it
I said it just
because
I
we
know,
do.
man.
I know.
That's all right, bro. You're my brother. You can say whatever you hell.
Yeah, I gotta mess with you, man.
You can kick me in the nuts, and when I'm on the ground going, God damn it, Marty, that hurt. I'm going, thank you for giving me the perspective I didn't have when I was standing up.
You're welcome.
I know today's show is about finding success that early morning. I know that that's what we're talking about here today. But I'm just going to be frank with all of you tuning in right now. I'm the one who created the show, but I'm not buying it. Nope, not buying it. Nope. I get up at 4 a.m. every day. Yep, rolled over today. Like, 4 o'clock. Because I believe that getting up early is the key to success. Oh, I love my 4 till 5, 5 till 6. Look, you can tell me all day long about how some people are night owls. I used to be one of them. Oh, yeah, true story. Or how it was about working when you feel the best. But here's the truth. Here's the truth that I believe. I think Marty believes, Johnny believes it as well. The world runs on the schedule of early risers. Yep, true. You think you can just wake up whenever, roll out of bed, and still get ahead of the competition? No, not happening. Because if you're competing with me, you got to get up before me. Yeah, true. And I'm getting up at 4. So while you're sleeping and I'm getting up, I'm hustling. I'm running. I'm grinding. I'm lifting. I'm making cash. I'm beating you to the punch. True. Waking up early isn't just about the time, it's about the discipline. So it's about starting your day on your terms, not somebody else's terms, not letting the day start you, which is why I like to get up and attack the day at 4 a.m. I don't care if you're more creative at midnight. Now, if you want to win this world, you got to get your ass to the bed early. The early bird just doesn't get the worm. The early bird gets the head start. The early bird gets the planning time, the quiet moments, the clarity that comes before everything else is awake and asking for your attention. So yeah, today we're going to talk about success in the early mornings. Yep.
I want to throw something across the table, Keith.
Yeah, but I'm here to tell you, I think it's bullshit because success and prep starts at 4. But Marty, what do you think, brother?
I'm with you though. I'm right there. I agree with you, but it's a lot of people, like successful people, that completely disagree. Like they say they get up at 9 o'clock. You know, they'll just stay up later. You know, they might stay up till 2 a.m., 3 a.m. And they say as long as it gets done, that's what matters.
Yes.
So I think that'll be good. That like we brought some examples on of people. I'll do some digging.
Well,
I think it'll be good. And we can preach our side and why we disagree with them, even though they.
Well, let me add a perspective, Marty, because I'm definitely feeling what you're saying, and I think what it comes down to,
I love it.
For me, it's a state of mind.
Yes.
I'm gonna do when I say, forgive me, when I say you, I'm not addressing my co-host. When I say I'll do the shit that you won't, I'm talking to the world, and that for me is a state of mind I need to get ahead. Now, yes. Maybe I was the guy that said, you know what, I'll work until 2 in the morning. Maybe it was the flip side of the equation. I personally feel that when I'm awake before, like you said, Keith, getting that jump start. Yeah. For me, that gives me the state of mind. Yes. So yes. I think there's getting beneath the actual physical time. I think there's an attitude. There's something that has to trigger a person to be willing to do the shit that everybody else won't do. Go ahead, Kristina.
I agree with you in a lot of ways, but to your point, I don't look at it from a competition perspective, right? So Keith, you're like, the guy next to you is getting up, the guy next to you. I don't think it has anything to do with competition, because also when we look at competition from that perspective, it's that scarcity mindset. But again, you have to do what works for you. And yes, whatever your process is, whatever your brain is, you need to have the self-awareness to put the time and the effort in to understand, okay, this is what works for me. If you don't have responsibilities at night and you don't have to get up early in the morning to, like me, a bunch of fucking kids, then stay up late at night. That's awesome. Stay up late at night and then do your thing and plan. But I think to look at it as an external motivation versus an internal of the state of mind that you're putting yourself in, how you're actually prepping yourself for the day, whatever works for you from a process perspective is great. But don't make it about the competition, because the competition in and of itself, there is no fucking competition, especially for the work that we're doing. That's scarcity mindset shit. I don't care about what my competition's doing. I care about what I'm doing and how I'm showing up.
Well, think for on that level, we talk about works for what works for the person. For me, when I turn anything into a competition, I'm going to perform better. So I'm not really competing against everyone else. I'm competing against myself. But But my mantra is, I'll do what you won't do. And I've been saying that from the time, as soon as I discovered hard work and realized I could outwork people. There's very few men on the planet that will sit across the table for me, and I won't say that to. I mean, I could think of like two. Literally, I could name them on one hand. And that's one of the things for me that gives me an advantage. I don't give a shit who you are. I will outwork your ass.
Hey, Marty, we're
with
those,
you, Johnny.
We're those two, brother. You and me, Marty. All right.
Yeah, I'm with you.
It's true. Yeah. Hey, let's get to the accountability check-in. It's the 1:15. Marty, you bring up a good point. We got somebody joining us here in a few moments, Anthony Payne. And Kristina, I think Anthony's joining us.
Yep.
Yeah.
We're working on it.
And I think Michael Kainatsky was going to join us as well. But regardless, we got some folks joining us who do not subscribe to the early morning activities. No, Anthony's a rock star. Anthony performs at night, and I think his day starts like at freaking 2 o'clock in the afternoon. I don't know. We're going to learn about it in a few moments. But hey, right now, it's time for the accountability check-in. Here's the thing. Yeah, you wake up and your mind's already spinning. You're spinning. Deadlines, emails, endless to-do lists. People coming at you left and right. You're like, I don't know what the hell's going on. You're playing catch up from the moment you open your damn eyes. Then you wonder if there's something wrong with you. You're like, why am I feeling so overwhelmed? Here's the thing. The truth is you're grinding through shifting priorities and moving targets. That's all you're doing. You're getting up, moving target here, moving target. There's moving targets everywhere. Without structure, you end up reacting to everything that comes your way. Never feeling like you're in control. Suddenly, you look at 6 p.m. and you're asking, what the hell? Where did the day go? What did I even do today? Here's how to stop being reactive. Give yourself a non-negotiable hour in the morning. For me, it's getting up. After my coffee, I go do my workout, my run, my cardio activities, my endurance activities. That's my non-negotiable. Here's something for you to consider. 10 minutes of movement, 10 minutes of planning, 10 minutes of early clarity, 30 minutes. You got 30 minutes. These 10-minute blocks can help you start the day ahead. Oh, you don't want to do 30 minutes? Do 10 minutes here, 10 minutes there, 10 minutes everywhere. Adds up to 30. Focus just on those 3 priorities for the day. Don't try to do 10. Not just hit 3, hit 2, hit 1. If you hit those, look back at your notes and celebrate. It's a win, no matter what those distractions come from. Structure your day, your whole day with flexible blocks. Let your routine adjust to life's curveballs. And when you own your time, guess what, nation? You own your results. Structure gives you the space to lead, not just to survive. So there you go. There's your accountability check-in. Get up, get moving. Pick something to get knocked off your list today, and then look back and celebrate it. All right. Jimmy, let's bring the rest of the crew back up here as we continue. I'm going to ask you, nation. What's one habit you are working on that aligns with your natural rhythm? Whether you're a night owl or early riser, consistency is what will make the difference. And hey, don't forget the No Month is almost here around the corner. Next week, start thinking about what you can cut out to make room for your biggest goals. And hey, if you're loving what we're doing here, I invite you to subscribe, like, or comment on the channel. And, keep us rolling along here Monday to Friday. Now, hey, it's time for Center Stage. We're going to break down how to achieve success without subscribing to the early morning hype. And today we have Anthony Payne joining us here. Anthony is all the way from Las Vegas, Nevada, professional entertainer who has performed worldwide from Hong Kong to Panama, specializing in connecting with people through music and creating unforgettable experiences. Anthony and I connected on the fly yesterday on LinkedIn. Never met the guy before until right now, this second. Anthony, welcome to Mornings in the Lab. What's going on, brother? Oh, I don't have Anthony here. I have Michael Kainatsky here, though. What's going on, Michael?
Not much, man. How are you?
That's it, baby. That's it. What's up, brother? How are you?
What's going
What's
on,
up, Michael?
How's it going, guys?
Oh, I don't have any audio there.
I think he's on mute on the vertical.
Oh, so I
can hear him on the. There we go.
There he is.
There you go. Yep.
How are you, pal?
I'm doing good.
So
you got me thinking.
As I've gotten to know you, Ken, you're like, I'm not an early morning guy. And you're like, I like to work till 1, 2 a.m., but then you get up at 7:30. So from my point of view, Michael, it's like you're burning candles at both ends. Am I wrong? Or that just works for you? And as you may have heard in our opening monologue, we're all about finding what works for you. I'm an early morning guy. Johnny's an early morning guy. Marty's an early morning guy. But you have found a lifestyle for you that you stay up late, you tackle your mornings a little bit later in the day. But Michael, you subscribe to this whole idea that you can still win your day by not getting up at 4 a.m. Am I correct?
I don't subscribe to it. I just don't see how I could get up at 4 a.m. because I'm in bed. If I can't, I just cannot get to bed before at an earliest time. Like yesterday, I was exhausted. I was out on the boat all day. I had like 9 people on a boat. I got home at 10 o'clock, exhausted, and I barely passed out. And it was 11:30, 11:45. So how doing that? How do you get up at 4 a.m? You know, I got up early today actually because of this. I was like, you know what? I'm gonna wake up really early today. I woke up at 6 because that's like really early. You know, because usually I'm up, and I got everything done so that I didn't have to worry about this time block to get my son to school. But it's also like, I just don't know how people wake up at 4. I get why they do, but that means you're losing so much time in your evening. That means you have to go to bed at 9, right? 10 o'clock.
Yes.
You lose a lot. So now you're basically, I think that the sacrifice is, do you work more and get more done? Or do you say, I'm just going to go to bed at 10. I don't care about my day. I'm going to wake up at 4 and I have more time to get things done. So I think it's just a matter of how people operate. For me, with everything I'm doing, plus on LinkedIn all day, with everything I have to do and the amount of time and the engagement, there's just no way it's possible to do it.
Yeah. So I did a poor job introducing Michael Nation. I thought Anthony Payne was sitting in the green room there. Michael is leading a new way in executive coaching. Michael joins us out of New York. He's with the House of Bricks. You know, Adam House joins us. Michael is part of Adam's team here. He uses networking and experiential wisdom over job boards to unlock leadership potential and shape elite teams. Michael is, like I said, active with House of Bricks with Adam House and the gang there, where you can find Michael. I think you said it best, right? Like, there's sacrifice happens somewhere, right? It's like, okay, so if I'm not going to, so am I spending time with my family at 7, 8, 9 o'clock at night, or am I going to bed? That's really what you're saying, isn't that, Michael?
I mean, it also depends on what your family's doing, and it depends on what their lifestyle is, right? So if you have significant other, kids that prescribe to that, that's great. But what if they don't? Now you're like, okay, guys, you know, I'll tell you the truth, and most people get crazy, but because of how busy our days are, my wife is a doctor. By the time she gets home and we eat dinner, I oftentimes am cooking at 8:30 at night, just cooking.
Oh, wow.
Dinner. Yeah, just think about that. So if I'm cooking at 8:30 and by the 9:30, we're like sitting there looking around, we're eating. Can you imagine being like, well, it was nice knowing you guys, and go to bed, you know? So I don't see how it would happen. And honestly, I've never been somebody that woke up at 4 o'clock in the morning unless I had a half marathon to run.
Interesting. Johnny?
I got an interesting perspective here because, you know, in all our conversations about up early, what we haven't really talked about was, you know, there was a 7-year period of my life where I was wrestling, and, you know, mostly I was in the semi or the main event. So I wouldn't even start work. Like, I wouldn't be actually getting in the ring until sometimes 9 o'clock, 10 o'clock. So by the time I would get back to my hotel, sometimes it might be midnight or 1. And so during that time, I wasn't really watching the actual numbers on the clock. I was just subscribing to my method, you know, to my philosophy of I'll do more. So I would get up earlier than everyone else, and I would go to the gym and I would do my shits, but it wasn't really about a certain time. You know, if I didn't get to bed till 2, I was going to make sure I got the sleep I needed. Boom, up and I was moving. So in that perspective, it's just literally just my schedule was just shifted based upon where my commitments were. In the life I live now, where I'm just, you know, it's not about performing or, you know, I'm more of a business person than a competitor now. I have much more control of my schedule, and this is where I choose to get up really early so I can get that jump start of the day. But I guess what I'm getting at is there's sometimes in these different careers or different paths, you got to remove the numbers, and you just got to look at the philosophy of what you're doing.
Hey, Marty, question for you, brother. If you weren't doing this morning show, if you weren't training clients like you do with your fitness training, would you be an early morning person, Marty, or would you be subscribing more to Kainatsky's, which is I'm getting up at 8, getting up at 9, I'm not, you know, getting up at 7:30, getting after things at 9, more of a traditional type approach, Marty?
Yeah, I probably wouldn't get up that late. If I didn't train early. Yeah, that's late for me. But if I didn't train early mornings, I probably would knock my workout out first thing in the morning, so I don't have to worry about it throughout the rest of the day, and I can focus on other things. So it's very possible that I still would get up early. I just like it. I feel like there's not a lot of distractions going on, and I can put myself in the best mental state to be productive throughout the day. That's what works for me. Just like Michael said, you got to do what works for you.
Yeah. Hey, Michael, question so kind of an interesting take on this. So, Michael, you're East Coast time. Johnny's Pacific Coast time. I'm Central Coast time. I have Central time. It is no coast here in the central part of the country. No, just nothing but flat land. Hey, Michael.
Super flat.
Yeah, exactly. Michael, being on EST, do you find that you don't have to get up so early because the world kind of subscribes to your kind of time zone? Whereas Johnny's like, okay, if I'm getting up, like I have to get up early because half of the world's already going. Like when I find myself, Michael, going to the West Coast and you're like there in the afternoon, you're like, fuck, nobody's doing nothing at 3 o'clock in the afternoon because I see you nodding there. So I'm wondering, so I'm going to stop talking. You agree with that, don't you, Michael?
So I actually realized this in the funniest way when I was learning and then also started teaching people how to use LinkedIn. It was a kind of a very interesting mantra, and that is no matter where you are in the world, you're posting for EST.
Yes.
Right? No one cares if you're in you're in San Diego, you're in Canada, you're in Italy.
Yes.
Good for you. We don't care.
EST.
Yeah. That's kind of how. And I actually, when I was in Italy, for 3 weeks this past summer, and that is 6 hours ahead. And I was like, wow, this really sucks being so far ahead at EST. When I was in Hawaii a year and a half ago, I was waking up at 4 or 5 in the morning because, again, 5 hour difference. And I was like, this is great. I remember I used to run in Honolulu on the boulevard. You know, they have a huge boulevard that runs just base. If you've ever been there, I would run in the middle of it at 4 in the morning, just, 5-lane road. I'd be like, this is incredible. There's nobody here. And so you're exactly right. It has nothing to do with the fact that I don't want to wake up early. It's that you guys waking up early, you're still waking up when I'm waking up, because you have to basically keep up with our New York City mindset. The stock market opens up.
Yes.
Everybody. I mean, that's another thing.
Yes.
I always wondered, what do people do with the stock market?
Yes.
Like why even, if you work in the stock market, in my opinion, if you don't live in the East Coast or Northeast time zone, get a new career. Your life is ruined because you're going to be basically waking up at 4 to catch a 7, just not waking up, but you have to catch the 7 a.m. pre-market open. If you're doing international trading, you got to wake up at 2 in the morning because they open up markets at like 5 or 5, whatever the hell it is. So you basically, I'm waking up, like if I'm waking up at 7 or 7:30, I bet you that, see, Marty, we're waking up at the same time. Technically.
I got you. I see where you're going with that.
Right?
I agree.
So here's the real question. If you're up and you start your day and I'm up and I start my day, are you really getting up ahead of me, or are you just getting up ahead of your other compatriots who aren't prescribed to that? Because technically you and I are waking up at the same time and we have the same amount of time to get things done. I'm just live and you are kind of playing catch up to try to be on the East Coast time, because that's how everybody's mindset is. So I think the East Coast side of things changes everything.
So it's funny you say, Michael. So, and we did not talk in advance. Man, I think this is the underlying situation with time. And even with how I promote the show, I'm here on Central Time Zone, but I promote this entire show about Eastern Time Zone because Michael, to your point, all anybody cares about is EST. It's like, oh, it's EST because everybody just flies over the West. And nobody cares about, everybody just flies over the Midwest. Nobody really cares about the West. It's all about, okay, so what time is it over here in New York City or in Washington or Maryland? So we're all subscribing to when the economy begins, which is on Wall Street in New York City, right? So fascinating to me. So let's continue the conversation in the deep dive, but do you need to get up early to have success? We're going to continue with Michael Kainatsky here coming up in 2 minutes. But before we do that, we got something called the Fit Tip. It's Christopher Martin. Jimmy, let's get Marty on stage. Let's give you guys something to think about to get yourself rolling this morning. Marty, get after it, brother.
Come on, man.
All right. We got the fitness tip for today. I got a game changer for you all, right? We're going to talk about eliminating decision-making in the morning to enhance your workouts and your workout schedule, all right? So the more choices you make, the more drained you get. So by the time it's workout time, your willpower is gone. You're not even focused. So instead of leaving it up to how you feel, I don't feel like going to the gym, right? We're just going to come up with a plan to automate everything for the week. Let's get into it. Pre-plan the night before. So know what outfit you're wearing. Get your gallon of water ready, or however much water you're drinking, coffee, whatever, pre-workout meal, whatever it is. Have that ready the night before, all right? Just wake up and execute. You already got that ready. Limit your workout options. So you don't go in the gym thinking, what workout should I do today? You already have a rotation. You already have a foundation. Me and Johnny talk about it all the time. Monday chest, this is just me. Monday chest, Tuesday legs, Wednesday back, Thursday shoulders, and then maybe leg day again, or maybe I do cycling or whatever it is. If I keep that consistent schedule, it's going to automate everything and shrink how much I think. All right, and get your brain moving. Get moving before your brain starts to work. So get your body moving. Don't give yourself time to negotiate as soon as you wake up. Just start moving. Think less, act more. Automate your morning, and fitness will fall into place. And last thing before we go, the 5 P's. Proper preparation prevents poor performance. Always remember that. That's the fitness tip for today.
Tip of the day with Christopher Martin every single day at 9:30, 8:30 Eastern time. Yeah, we always got to work on Eastern time here for you guys, because I'm thinking Johnny and Marty, all of our friends on Eastern time, just don't want to do the math on how it gets to Central time or Pacific time, whatever that's.
Oh, is that what it is?
That's what it is. Exactly. Because you guys, you guys are all lazy. Me and Johnny know. We just know you guys on the Easter's lazy. All right, so listen, we're getting in today's deep dive.
John loved that.
And I want to talk about the structure for your day for success. And I know we talk about this often on the show, getting your water, getting out of bed in the morning, not hitting the snooze, et cetera, et cetera. But as we've been learning during center stage, it's not so much what time you start your day, whether it's 4 a.m. or whether it's 7:30, 8 a.m. like Kainatsky does. What we're learning is it's really about how you can make the most out of your energy and focus without sacrificing what matters most. Michael, you're a runner. You like to get up and get your running in your marathons, your half marathon running. Michael, talk about how you structure your day to optimize success. So you don't get up at 4. You get your day started a little bit earlier. You got a young son who you have for school. You got a successful wife who's a doctor. Michael Kainatsky, how do you structure your day to optimize success for you, knowing it doesn't start at 4 a.m.? Michael.
You know what? I can't even say that it's optimized. I would say that it's almost like survival in a sense, because you have a 4-year-old who, is basically running around doing whatever, so trying to get him to sleep and trying to wake him up. This morning, for instance, was a nightmare because I basically shifted him completely. Usually I wake up kind of to coordinate with him. So he's getting up at 8 to get to school tonight. I'm like, all right, I usually get up at 6 o'clock, and I'll just say, you know what? I can't think straight. I'm going to go and do a 3-4 mile walk while thinking. Right. Because I'm also doing probably the most difficult thing in the world. If you guys want to try something, and I'll challenge you, you want to do something, I'll switch your calendar and mine. I'll do your workouts and your 4 a.m. workouts, and you guys go on LinkedIn and post twice a day, every day for a year. Original content, no AI. And then I want you to come back in a year and tell me what you'd rather do, workout or post twice a day and then engage with the people. And honestly,
brother, I posted a day, not LinkedIn, but I posted twice a day for probably close to a decade, man. I got that covered, bro.
Yeah, me too.
Wait.
That's just, come on, man.
Wait. Posting where? I've been posting on Instagram that whole time. I've been posting on YouTube that whole time. I'm
Instagram and YouTube as well.
So there's a little difference between those two things in LinkedIn. Where you post on YouTube and Instagram, it's kind of like you're posting knowledge and you kind of let it go, right? When you post on LinkedIn, you got other human beings immediately engaging with you, which means 100 comments, interactions per day. So what that does is it takes up your whole day of actually engaging with those commentaries. So it's not just the posting part. That's easy.
Oh, I got you. You got to talk to the people that are coming in. It's not just,
you got to talk to the people.
Post and go.
It's work.
That's part of the job.
So here's the problem. You can't schedule it, because if you want to be really truly engaged on this platform, unlike any other, if stuff comes in, and I'm one of those people that's like, I'm not going to do it tomorrow, because what'll happen is tomorrow I'll say, screw it, I'll do it. Like today, I'm looking at the people
doing it right now.
Right.
I'm with you, brother.
Right.
I'm taking a piss responding to people. I'm taking a dump responding. I'm eating, I'm responding.
Exactly.
It doesn't matter. I'm responding.
Right there with you, John.
So that's what my calendar is. That's what my calendar. I can't, there's no way to plan this, because human beings, you can't plan when they respond, right? So my day
what you plan is you're going to do that shit around the clock when you're awake. That's what you plan.
That's what I mean. So what that does is, because I'm doing that around the clock, all the other things now are getting stacked. Okay, I'm going to do this. Damn, now you go back to something else. So LinkedIn, to me, has actually a year ago, I wasn't doing it like this. I was recruiting. My day was very structured. LinkedIn with human engagement and interaction, it has completely blown my schedule to shreds. It's impossible to plan anything. I have people reaching out to me going, oh, that's great. Let's talk. And then great, back to conversation. So LinkedIn has become, while how great it is, there's going to be, I'm telling you, there's going to be like mental health clinics for people to check themselves in because they're on LinkedIn too much.
And you know what, brother? I love
I'll be the first one.
Real quick, on that level, I mean, that's one of the things that I take pride in. I'll do the shit that you won't. I'm not talking about you personally, brother, but that's my philosophy. I'll do the shit that other people won't. And if doing what you're describing is part of that, then I make it happen. And when you make it happen long enough, it becomes automatic. And when it's automatic,
right,
you're not really thinking about it consciously. It's subconscious, and then you've got your conscious effort for everything else.
You're absolutely right. And that's the part that I think a lot of people don't want to do. Not only just LinkedIn, I mean, exercise, you want it to do it long enough where you, like you guys said, how do you eliminate thinking in the morning? You do it long enough where it's no longer a thought and it's just a habit. And if it's a habit, right? And but there's another level from a habit, it becomes not even a habit anymore. It almost becomes a natural motion, right? It's almost system. Like, right?
It turns into a life system.
Well, instinct, right? What above habit is instinct, right? Like I always find myself, like I'm in the shower and I always like do these crazy things, and I'm in the shower, so I wouldn't, but I do these things where I'm like doing something and like 3 things fly up and I catch them all. I'm like, I wish somebody was recording this. And then I'm like, but I'm in the shower. So no, I don't. But like those instincts of catching random things without thinking about it. And I posted about it the other day, and you guys tell me, is it okay to just do and not think when there's an instinct, or should you always slow down, think, qualify, quantify, and then act? And so I'm thinking like some of the things we're talking about are difficult because they're not even habitual, but you want to get them like Marty and John. I know for a fact for you, working out isn't a habit. It's now an instinct. You're above the habit part. The habit part is like one way or another, it can be broken. An instinct is like, it's part of who you are and it just exists. And that's the part I'm trying to get to.
Your terminology for instinct, I think, is my terminology for a life system.
Yes.
It's a system. It's just something that's part of my day. It's who I am. It's going to happen. I have to like make an effort to stop the system. The system goes on by itself. If I need a break from the system, I have to be intentional about, okay, I need to not train today because I need the rest. But in terms of stuff like, staying on top of your, the little things like with social media or business, those things, I will never, ever stop those systems. I don't want those systems to stop because the longer they exist, the easier they become.
So then I guess the question for Kainatsky is, Michael, so you're not a 4 a.m.er, you're a 7:30, 6 a.m., depending on when your young boy gets up. Dudes, and I mean this question with all the respect, so don't take it don't take it without respect. Does your day happen by accident with success, Michael, or or does your day happen with structure and success, but through your way of doing it? And what I mean by that is that you get up, your day happens, it activates, and it ends. And from your point of view, you're like, yeah, that's really successful. I don't need to have this whole thing of structure. I have my non-negotiables, and that's good enough for me. Am I characterizing that properly for you, Kainatsky?
I would say yes. I wouldn't say it's an accident because I still have a calendar and my calendar is jam-packed. So I can't say that it's an accident. That's why I believe there's people I know that don't believe in calendars. For me, anything to do with me. And by the way, I do have a system. It's kind of crazy, but it's also interesting. Like if my wife goes to me, hey, how's it, get some Cheerios. I'm like, put it in the calendar. So every single thing that we have, like we'll be driving and my wife will like, hey, I told you about this. And I just go put my phone up. I go, where? So she'll be like, I'm like, calendar. So what I've done is I've synced my personal and business calendar. So whenever she sends me a reminder of anything, it could be the dumbest thing, getting my haircut at 3:00. Okay, boom, it goes into my calendar. And now it's my work calendar. I do that too.
Yeah.
Right. And I decide if it's a maybe, a yes, or a no, depending. But that's my system. It's the calendar because so many people, now are trying to get on my calendar and trying to speak to me that when I look at my calendar throughout the day, what ends up happening is my system is characterized by the things that I know I have to do, but all of the things not on the calendar those are the things that I want to get to, but they're not like I have to get to them. And to me, that's why I wake up at 6 a.m. and go for a 3-4 mile walk, because I'm like, okay, I got to think of something to write. I got to respond to things that I didn't do yesterday. And it does, it does take up a lot of your time. LinkedIn is a monster of a thing that people think like, oh, it's social media. But if you're doing everything on it, then it becomes a massive, big thing to do. It's crazy how many hours I spent doing it. And I don't think anybody understands how many hours you have to plan. So I'm telling people the same thing, put it in your calendar, 15 minutes, go engage. 2 hours later, 15 minutes, go engage, because it will take up your time. That 15 minutes turns into an hour and you're like, what the hell just happened? Because you're engaging in conversation.
And brother, when you say nobody understands, that's fucking perfect, because they're not doing what you're doing.
Yeah. Nobody's
that's exactly
doing
what you're looking for.
Nobody's
and that's exactly the fucking way. When people don't understand you, that means that you've separated yourself from them. There's no bigger fucking compliment.
So that's the truth. And this is the kind of stats that I actually talk about on LinkedIn is the same thing. Like in life, right? How many people go to the gym? Everybody talks about 1%ers. LinkedIn is not a 1%er. LinkedIn is a 0.0001%, because out of 1.1 billion, there's only 3 million active people on LinkedIn that are actually doing something about it. So out of 1 billion, just think about that. We're not even in the 1%. We're in the 0.0001%. So yes, you're absolutely right. But you also prescribe yourself, like I'm dealing with people that are on different calendars, right? So I have people in China and Dubai and California, and those guys are waking up at their 7 a.m. going, oh, I want to engage with Michael right now. But you know what time it is?
Yeah.
And I'm like, okay, I guess it's 3 a.m, So that's, I have to like separate, because I'm somebody that will keep going. Like I won't shut off. I'll do it till 2 a.m. I'll wake up at 6 and I'll keep doing it. So for me, I have to force myself to shut this off, because if I don't, I think that you could burn out massively.
Well, brother, I got to jump on that real quick. I so agree with you. I mean, what allows me, because I've had, I'd say rigid, but most people say that how I go about my life is pretty rigid with my schedule. My schedule is what makes me me. And I have these really hard stops. Like, I'm up early. I'm up at 3 o'clock. 5:30, I crush all day long, my workout business, whatever I got to do. 5:30, that's Terry time. That's my wife. And at that point, for the most part, I shut it down. And then by like 7 o'clock, the fucking phone is plugged in and turned over. The computer face is down. Nothing can penetrate me, recharging me for tomorrow morning at 3 o'clock, so I can be the best again. And if I didn't have that, I would basically I'd burn myself for both sides so quickly. I wouldn't be able to do what I do for any length of time. And I've been doing this for fucking decades.
This is great dialogue, Johnny, Chris, Mike. This is exceptional conversation, because Kainatsky, you're really opening up a can of worms around time in a calendar, how much time we have, and I get frustrated with folks that don't grasp the value of time, right? And it's like, and it's back to that bartender which thinks they can squeeze 30 ounces out of a 26-ounce bottle, right? And great bartenders can, but the reality is there's only 24 hours in a day. There's not 25, and there's something's going to sacrifice along the way. So I like yourself, Michael, you take your calendar and you got to start plugging everything into it, right? And I would invite anybody who's struggling with their schedule, regardless if you're a 4 a.m. or a 7 a.m.er, is just do a week of planning your schedule and putting everything in it, and then look back on it and recognize how much time you actually don't have. And what I would then say is put your non-negotiables in there. So A, yourself, and then B, your family and your partner. So if you put those non-negotiables in there and say, okay, so that's the Kainatsky's perspective, right? Michael's got himself, then he's got his son, he's got his wife, and then it's like, okay, so what kind of time do I have left over for the rest of the week? And when you do that, you quickly recognize how much time you actually don't have. So I think we're going to have to come back to this and continue this conversation. But before we do that, Michael, we got to keep the show going on here, brother. How can LinkedIn Nation, how can Business Athlete Nation, how can the world find you and get a piece of Michael Kainatsky from House of Rex? You've been on the show a few times. Great dialogue today, brother. How can folks find you, Michael?
Please don't. I'm too busy already.
More engagement, more interaction.
Oh, I love it, man.
Don't engage with me, please, because I will respond. So I would appreciate if you don't find me, go find somebody more interesting. Talk to them. And I'm going to sleep until 7 instead of waking up at 4. That is my advice.
That's awesome. Michael Kainatsky is joining us here, Mornings in the Lab with Keith and Friends. Ken, good to see you here, brother. You come back again, and let's continue this conversation.
Brother.
Let's
keep kicking ass, man. I just want to say, man,
yes, sir.
you're rocking.
Please do.
Keep up the good work. Keep kicking ass.
Guys.
Yeah, I think we'll come back and continue this conversation on calendar planning. And Michael, we come back in a couple weeks. Let's talk about planning a calendar, what it looks like, because I think people will be surprised if we did an exercise and said, hey, do this and see what it looks like. I think a lot of folks would be surprised about how much time you actually don't have. So,
well, actually, I will tell you the opposite. You actually do have a lot of time when you do that exercise, because 168 hours, I promise you, everyone is wasting 4 hours a day. I don't care who you are.
Yeah,
4
Michael,
hours.
you are absolutely right, brother. Good to see you, pal. Good to see you. All right, let's
Mike.
Hi, guys.
Let's get Anderson up here with the lifestyle tip of the day. And then we got Jon Andersen joining us here in about 90 seconds or so. We're going to get some nutrient partitioning with Jon Andersen. But first of all, Jon Andersen, lifestyle tip. Johnny, you're up, brother.
Let's go, baby. Let's go. All right. Fast track to reach your goals. Here we go. Here's the deal. When you win the morning, you're going to have a good day. And a good day can translate into a good week. A good week will translate into a good month, and a good month will translate into a good year, and a good year can most likely change the rest of your life. So if you want to start the domino effect in your life, so you reach your goals and you reach them fast, it all starts with winning the morning. Rock and roll.
Lifestyle tip. Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, 8:45 Eastern time. Lifestyle advice to help you guys achieve those big ass goals. And of course, we got Jon Andersen joining us here this morning. Jory, what's going on?
Just getting ready this morning.
We've been talking about morning routines here. We've been talking about those that get up at 4 a.m. to chase the early board, those that get up at 6, 7, 8. Jory, what time do you start your day? Are you like, I got to hit my day at 4 or 5 or with 6? What time does Jory start her day at?
I start my day at 6.
Okay.
Yeah, I start at 6. I sometimes try a little earlier.
Yeah.
But that doesn't necessarily promote the best version of me. And I need to be mom, wife, best friend, you know? So
yes.
You have to figure out what works for you.
Yes.
With that.
So as you know, Business Athlete Nation, Jon Andersen, our resident nutrition expert, diet expert, food expert, joining us here every Monday, Wednesday, Friday for a highly enjoyable, experience conversation we call the protein break. And over the last number of weeks, we've been talking about macronutrients and micronutrients and different foods and so forth, and fats and carbs and proteins and so forth. And today I wanted to take the conversation into a little more of an advanced conversation, which was around strategic approaches to nutrition and this idea of nutrient partitioning, about directing the nutrients you eat towards building muscle and minimizing fat gain. We hear often, and I know John, I'm sure Johnny and Marty roll their eyes often in this conversation. They hear bulk. Boy, I'm in bulking phase right now. And the guys get fat and then lose weight and get lean. But what we're going to talk about today is in simple terms, how your body decides where to store the nutrients you consume, whether it's in your muscles or as fat. And again, we also talk on this show about, it's not just about losing weight, it's about losing body fat. What are your goals? Is it body composition? Is it about getting fast and so forth? So let's get into the basics, Jory, John, Marty, about nutrient partitioning. And I'm going to just start off, but it's like your body's traffic controller, deciding where calories go to muscle recovery, energy, or fat storage, depending on your activities and diet. Athletes, bodybuilders like John often use this concept to enhance their physiques while staying lean. So let's get into this, Jory. Talk a little bit about nutrient partitioning, insulin sensitivity, et cetera, et cetera. Where do you want to start today, Jory?
I guess probably the biggest part to start with is sometimes it really depends on how well trained you are to how efficient your body will utilize nutrients. So if you're someone that's, just starting out, you might find that, your body's changing and you've got more energy just by creating some small changes. But over time, if you're looking to either, get stronger or build more muscle, there is sort of this threshold in terms of a depletion of where you're going to optimize both of losing some body fat and also gaining muscle mass. Now you can still gain, a decent amount of strength when you're in a higher deficit, but you're not necessarily going to build up a lot of muscle in most. Now this is in mostly like not elite level athletes. This is more of people that work out for health and just are starting out. So there is that threshold of a 500 calorie deficit where you still can gain quite a bit of strength. You can still build some muscle and body fat, but once you get beyond the 500 calorie deficit, that's where it's harder to build the lean muscle mass, but you can still get strength gain.
Yeah. Hey, Jon, looking at you, brother, insulin sensitivity. So insulin sensitivity is a major player in nutrient partitioning. When your muscles are more sensitive to insulin, now you and I have talked often about this offline, but when your muscles being better to absorb glucose and nutrients, leading to more muscle growth and less fat gain. So, Jon, as you've gone through your professional journey of 4 decades of lifting and eating and training, how would you advise our business athlete nation listening right now? How do we improve insulin sensitivity, Jon Andersen?
Well, I think that's a slippery slope because, we've all heard, these tales in the gym about people triggering their insulin and getting big and strong and da-da-da-da-da. And they also have a very, very, very strong possibility of getting big and fat because, insulin is a transport hormone and it's powerful. And if you trigger your insulin too often, or if you trigger and you eat too much, the muscle, think like this, the muscle is like a holding tank, right? And let's just say that you train hard and your muscles are they're at a half tank. And then you basically, after your workout, you trigger insulin and you start eating. Well, the muscle can only hold so much. Once that muscle holding tank is full, that's the term spillover. All of that nutrient can't go in the muscle, so it spills over. It can't go in this tank. Well, guess where it's going? In the fat cell. So this idea of insulin, yes, it's very powerful, but it's a slippery slope, and people don't understand how quickly you can get fat if you don't understand how to control using triggering insulin. And so I think when it comes down to it, I think if people understood insulin a little bit better and they understood how the body works, that they would perceive this hormone very differently.
So then, Jon, I'm going to come back to you guys. Listen, so resistance training is key, right? And then eating a balanced diet with lower glycemic index carbs and timing your carb intake. And I know, Jon, through a lot of your philosophies and principles, not so much on the carbohydrates, but if we're talking endurance and different athletic goals, let's keep the conversation, kind of global. But, when you're eating a balanced diet with a lower glycemic index carbs and timing your carb intake around workouts can significantly improve insulin sensitivity and nutrient uptake. So let's talk about this because I love your analogy, Jon, about filling up the muscle tank. So Jory, looking at you, when Jon talks about that, talk about, Jory, the lower glycemic index carb that somebody wants to eat.
Yeah. So lower glycemic.
Not filling the tank up improperly, like Jon talks about, Jory.
Yeah. So lower glycemic, just for everyone's basic needs, it's foods that are really high in fiber content. So they're going to take longer to break down in the gut. So you're not going to get that quick, fast rise as if you had some gummy bears or jelly beans, right? And sometimes you need that, but for most, when we're changing body composition and we're working out specifically for that, we're looking at high fiber content. And so carbohydrates, protein, so like chicken's not going to be on the glycemic index. That's protein. But your carbohydrate sources. You want to have complex carbs because the fiber content, now that's an F word we can share all the time. Fiber content is going to take longer to break down, and with that slower release. That's going to be better now changing body composition. The other part of fueling strategically. So you're going to need time to digest that. So you don't want to have it 30 minutes before a workout, or depending on the amount, I suppose, that you're eating. But a higher fiber content can also make you not feel awesome during the workout. So time it out at least an hour, if not 2 hours. And that should help in terms of releasing the glucose that you need. But you want to make sure that you have that balanced intake of those complex carbs because they are slow releasing. That helps in terms of insulin sensitivity. One of the markers of helping insulin sensitivity, which is going to help glucose transport. Now, if your cells don't have that glucose, you don't have that quality workout. You need amino acids, right? So that insulin helps in terms of amino acid availability. So that way you're building and repairing. You're going to have that recovery time afterwards. So that's going to help you have that workout tomorrow again, and you're not going to have that muscle soreness. So that's the glycemic index side of things. You're going to have, your body has rises and dips throughout the day. That's called normal living. But you don't want those spikes and elevated spikes for too long, because then, yes, we do have that chronic stress response of cortisol. We need some cortisol to be able to live life, but to have that chronic elevated stress response isn't going to help in terms of the body composition change.
Yeah. Johnny, comments?
And real quick, I just got to jump on just to kind of help, our listeners understand, there's no question that understanding how to trigger insulin at the right times can be drastically helpful. But somehow, the bros in the gym turned this into, let's eat a bunch of candy after our workouts. And, eating all this shit, triggering your insulin has really become kind of like I don't know, it's so misunderstood, and people think they're doing themselves a favor. And it's really what it comes down to is is it triggering insulin? Yes. Is it triggering too hard when you're eating a bunch of shit like that? Absolutely. Are you getting the nutrients in from the candy you're eating? No. So it's really kind of backwards the way that the bro science of insulin has got people thinking about this totally backwards. The idea is to slightly trigger it and then shuttle in all the nutrients that the body needs to actually help it do what it wants to do, rather than shuttle in a bunch of, preservatives and shit that the body has no idea what to do with. It's like putting gravel in the stomach, and then the body's going, well, shit, okay, my insulin's triggered. There's no nutrients here. I guess I'm just going to take this sugar and I'm going to fill up the fat cell in my tits. And that's what ends up happening. People get fat.
You know what I love about this segment, Jory and Marty, is that we bring Jory's knowledge and experience to the table, but then we bring Jon's 40 years of actual life experience of doing these things, because we talk about this so much, right? Like to live a lifestyle, fitness or nutrition, you got to try. You basically got to say, okay, I'm going to do this for 7 days, 14 days, a month, or 3 months. And you got to enjoy the process. So it's one thing to have all of the knowledge as possible, then it's put into action. So when I hear Jory give you the analogies of using the muscle tank and so forth, it takes the knowledge you put into practice through Jon's perspective of real life. And I find it so easy digestible. Do you know what I'm trying to say, Jory?
I do. Yeah, you have to bring it down into usable terms. And I like the part too, in terms of not just fueling with some quick, easy carbs, whether it's those monster drinks or whatever it is that people are enjoying, but there's key nutrients in food that actually help with hormone balance, which then impacts how the body's going to recover. So, we think of protein and amino acids, absolutely, but we also need calcium, we need magnesium, we need zinc. Zinc plays a huge role in muscle recovery, iron for oxygen transport throughout the body, and B vitamins, all those sort of things. And if we're not getting real food in, you're missing these. And you can pop a supplement if you want, and that's kind of like a little insurance policy, but it's not going to help with the big gains that you want to gain out of your work.
And all the stuff that Jory just said, all the stuff that we need, the nutrients, that shit is not in the fucking Milky Way, just so everybody knows.
And that's why I love joking with you guys about this idea of counting macronutrients. As Jon said, this is going to give you your fix after your workout, but you're not going to get the micros. And again, I'm the kind of human that likes to know the science and the numbers behind it, right? So I know I can get my calories and my macros here, but I'm not getting my micros. And my micronutrients are what drives my health and my nutrition. So nation, to Jory's point, to Jon's point, don't just crush the chocolate bar after the workout. Go find some nutrients in your food. So here's the recap. Nation, focus on improving insulin sensitivity, timing of meals around workouts, using macronutrients, guys, not chocolate bars, to balance to enhance nutrient partitioning. Nutrient partitioning is all about directing the fuel you put into your body. It's like Jon talks, eat for, what is it, Jon? Eat not for pleasure, it's eat for
purpose.
Eat for purpose, not for pleasure, right, guys? So it's a game changer.
But not to say that you can't wrap some pleasure around your purpose, but when you're eating purely for pleasure, it's summed up like this. If you eat the average American, I'm sure we could probably say North American, you eat the average North American diet, you get the average North American disease. That's because the average North American eats for pleasure, not for purpose. There has to be a mixture in there. You can eat for purpose and really enjoy your food if you wrap some pleasure around your purpose. But when you are eating for pleasure, you got some big problems coming.
Yes, yeah. Jory, as always, great conversation. You're always dropping nuggets here in the lab here Mondays and Wednesdays and Fridays around, just bringing stuff up there. And I like it. You bring it up, you set it up, and then Jon takes what you set up and says, and use these real life examples of this. This is what's happened over the years, right? So I love it. Jory, thanks for coming in today. You got a big day ahead of you today. Are you ready to rock and roll and attack Monday?
It's going to be a good Monday.
Oh, yeah, there you go. There you go. There you go. All right, Jory Jansen, the Protein Break, every Monday, Wednesday, Friday at 8:45 Eastern Time, mornings in the lab. And hey, we're working towards doing like a question and answer, guys. So on Fridays, if you're hearing things, you're curious about what Jory's saying or Jon or Marty are saying, write your questions down, bring it to the lab on Friday so we can throw some questions on the table and work towards an AMA with Jory Jansen on Fridays for the Protein Break. All right, Jory?
All right.
Thank you, Jory. Always a pleasure.
Have a good one. And hey, guys. There it is. There's the sound effect bringing in our, yeah. Look it to the left, look it to the right. She's coming up, the Twitch. Kristina Flynn with the personal brand bite every single day. What do you got for us today, Coach?
Oh, man, we're going to talk about the fact that nobody gives a shit about your logos or your colors of your brand.
Yes.
That's what we're going to talk about today. So let's get into it, shall we? Okay, so here's some tough love. Nobody gives a shit about your brand logos, your brand colors, your brand fonts. Seriously, I promise you. Save yourself $2,500 for the brand book. Don't start there if you're just starting to grow. Here's what people think most brands are about: fonts, logos, colors. They spend an inordinate amount of time working on those things. But here's what it's really about. And it comes down to 3 questions that will give you more clarity than that $2,500 brand guide. I promise you. 1, what's your origin story? Where are you from? Who are you? What experiences have shaped you in your life? 2, what's your unique value? How are you different from everyone else? What sets you apart in your craft or industry? 3, what are your core values? What do you stand for that never wavers? What are your non-negotiables? Take 5 minutes, answer these today, and you will have a foundation of a stronger brand. Here are mine, just so that you get a bit of an idea of what I'm talking about. I'm a queer wife, mom of 2, and I've got ADHD. I battled mental health and mental illness since I was 12. All of those things have shaped me. They're part of my identity. I've had this atypical career, 16 plus years building brands for NBA All-Stars, founders, VCs, investors, artists, and I'm driven by curiosity, a love of learning, and breaking every mold I've ever come across. What's my unique value? I help high-performing execs and entrepreneurs own their personal story and confidently get fucking paid for their expertise. I use neuroscience, storytelling, and AI-driven insights. I mix boldness with empathy and help people show up authentically to stop playing small. And 3, stay with me, folks. I know it's a long one. I'm all about intention, authenticity, empathy, inclusivity in my family, and having fun. Those are the values that drive everything I do. Take 5 minutes, answer these questions for yourself, then plug your answers into your content and your copy and watch the impact. It doesn't need to be perfect. It just has to be genuine. Yes, it's that simple. I have entered my no fucks era, and I promise you, if you take into account today's brand bite, you will be one step closer to entering yours. You got this.
I got to refresh. I'm on a double. Oh, there we go. Okay, good. I thought I was on a double stream there, but I guess I'm okay. Am I okay, Jimmy? Am I okay, Flynn? Can you hear me okay? I don't think. Can you hear me okay?
I can hear you fine.
Awesome. I think
I got you.
I think I might be on a double stream here, though. I think I might be on a. Am I on an echo here, Jimmy?
Not on my end, but maybe on his.
All right. So here's what I'm going to do, though. Jimmy, am I on an echo here? I might be on an echo.
In the meantime, Fit Presenter talking about the fact that I spent several minutes creating my logo. People are on my case about a rebranding package. 100%. You're not alone. This is many, many people. I promise you, shift. Don't focus on those things. Those are really tangible things that people try to sell you on because they try to tell you that's the problem. But the problem really comes down to the fact that you need to shift your focus from like, what's the visual representation of this brand that nobody actually pays attention to? Give me, other than the massive brands, give me anyone's personal brand that you actually know their logo, their font, or their colors. No, it just doesn't happen. Redirect your time, put the time in to investing in understanding who you are, why you're different, and how you're going to show up when you're actually building your personal brand. How we
There
doing,
we
Keith?
go. I don't hear an echo, Keith. Actually, I do see on a double stream though. I
Keith
got
is
two.
on multiple screens.
Now
We
one
are.
of you. Now I got one.
Cool. Yeah, let's get into it. Jon, I'd love to hear your perspective on this, and let's get Marty up here as well. I'd love to hear your perspective on this of, have you learned this lesson the hard way of investing in the brand, visual identity, the font, the colors, the logos? What does it look like from your perspective?
You know, I've always been that guy. That's I think that one of my gifts from the time I was young. I was just dumb enough to believe I could do it, which means I'm quick to take the first step. And so, in pretty much all of my business ventures, I didn't create logos until I was actually up and running. I just got in there. I mean, it's like if I can't get started and I can't have some success, what the hell is a logo? A logo doesn't help me be successful. All right. Once this thing's off the ground, once this bird is off the ground, okay, time to start putting some time into representing, how a logo and blah, blah, blah. But I mean, realistically, what it all comes down to is I learned to be who I am early. And that's what always has led the charge. The logo, like this little deal right here, that's my logo. It's my initials, just a JA, kind of a cool little JA. Very basic, very simple. But, that thing came long after I was successful.
Wow. Yeah. Yeah. And Marty, I'd love to hear your perspective. Have you learned this lesson the hard way? I'm saying this because I have learned this lesson the hard way. I focused intently on my logo and my colors, and I needed this like perfect visual representation. I spent a fuck ton of money on it. And I was like, oh, this doesn't matter. Why did I do this? Why did I waste my time?
Well,
Marty, what do you got?
that level,
I like that.
I'm sorry, I just got to steal one more thing, Kristina. Early on, I think part of the reason why I focused on getting the bird off the ground is I was fucking broke. A logo wasn't helping me make money.
I was too. I was putting that shit on
facts.
credit like an idiot.
Yeah,
Sorry, Marty.
You good? I just want to chime in quickly. Anybody I saw that was focused on the logo, they end up quitting the business or not being successful in it. So I automatically just never followed that. And I always was get the cash first before anything. How you say it, Keith? The cash?
Get the cash.
Yeah, get that first. Yeah, you get that first before you learn. Yeah, yep.
That's exactly it. All right. So, hey, it's the Morning Loop Reloaded. What's going on, Felix? We got a Felix joining us this morning out there. Maybe we're going to look and do some work for this after us, the show here. What's going on, Jimmy? What's going on, Nation? What's going on, Mike? Reloaded. I got something fun for you guys. I'm running a little behind here, but I got a fun topic that I found over the weekend. And as I was pulling it out, I thought that this would be
he set it up with that. Pull it out.
So this one here, I knew
Pull the little fella out.
As soon as I read this topic over the weekend, that this was set up perfectly for Reloaded. So here's something extremely wild today. A medical case from Lebanon, Johnny, Marty, where a man got what seems like food poisoning. Yeah, food poisoning in his penis. Yeah, you heard that right. True story. Food poisoning in his penis.
What was his penis eating?
So let's break it down. So here's what it is. A 38-year-old man in Lebanon described as what he called was vigorous sex with his wife after a meal. Shortly after the meal, he started vomiting and had severe diarrhea. And then out of nowhere, Anderson, his penis started swelling, turning extremely red, and even started scabbing. Yeah, I'm talking scabbing.
Scabbing.
Yeah.
Holy Toledo, that took a left turn. I wasn't seeing that one coming. Holy shit.
He endured this discomfort for a week before finally heading to the American University of Beirut Medical Center. When the doctors examined him, they swabbed his swollen and scabby penis and found a bacteria called Bacillus cereus. This bacteria is typically associated with food poisoning. specifically the kind you get from improperly stored cooked rice. So, also known as fried rice syndrome. So, how did it get here? Well, the doctors at this university hospital have some unpleasant theories. Marty, they think that this fellow's penis came into contact with his own vomit or diarrhea during sex, combined with the increased blood flow, which led to an infection. So
he wasn't stopping. He was still getting it going when he was fucking throwing up and shitting his pants.
Yes. So
there's no way. There's no way.
Jesus Christ.
So
way.
apparently,
what in the hell was his wife thinking, man? Jesus,
there's no way.
Get the hell off of me. You know, take that shit in the bathroom.
Apparently, during the vigorous activities, and that was the key here, the vigorous activities, while there was diarrhea or there was fluids happening, the penis came in contact with it, and the penis got the food poisoning, and now the penis being it, and it had to take its own time to recover. Now, after a week of antibiotics, he's fully recovered. But nation, it's a reminder: you got to keep things clean. Marty, John.
I think he maybe threw up on himself. I doubt that he was going full throttle.
No chance.
Diarrhea and throwing up, and his wife is just there keep going.
Yeah, he was on the way.
Keep it up, babe.
When that contact happened. Yeah. Jesus Christ.
I don't think that happened. That's crazy.
I agree with that.
This is National Enquirer shit.
No, it was actually not from National Enquirer. It was from the University of Beirut, Lebanon, a science journal that I found around this whole situation. And Nation, I'm telling you right now, this show isn't just about penis jokes or penis stories. I just happened to find it again. I'm like, okay, I guess we got to talk about a guy who got food poisoning in his penis. What else can you say?
There are some sick people out here, so you never know.
Well,
you never know.
Yeah, I mean, some of the shit that you hear goes on out there. Maybe he was throwing up and shitting his pants, and the wife is going, "Honey, you finally got what I wanted. Keep going." You know?
Yeah, she's like, "Stop being. I told you to stop being a punk. Yeah, stop being soft.
Stop vomiting on the penis, honey. Stop vomiting on the penis."
She might be a coach.
Don't vomit on your wiener. Vomit on me, please. You know?
She might be a coach like Flynn and coached him up to do it. Maybe.
No.
She's in her no fucks era. She's in her no fucks era.
I mean, she's getting lots of fucks, but they're just a little bit weird.
Man, that's a crazy story. I would have never. I mean, that's something that you can't even think something like that up.
No, not so. I'll tell you, I was skeptical about it as well until I kept reading the story, and then I found out that he went to a hospital, and I read some more about the hospital. I'm like, okay, there's some legitimacy here, so I guess I'll go with it today.
That's crazy.
Hey, listen, man, we like to have fun. Morning Loop Reloaded, the only unpredictable minute to start every single hour. You don't know what we're going to talk about. Again, guys, I ran into someone in the weekend that had said, "Hey, I love your show because I never know what Anderson's going to say next." And then Marty's face from time to time, you guys say something, and then Marty looks at you guys, and he has this expression, and then I watch Flynn, and Flynn's like, "What the hell are these guys saying?" I'm like, "Yeah, I know. That's the whole point of the show. It's just like this show that you never know what's coming out of."
I'm sitting here questioning my life decisions.
So hold on. Am I the guy that's deemed? What am I going to say next? What about these crazy goddamn stories you're pulling out of the news where nobody can find it? I'm the guy.
You are definitely one of the ones going, "What the hell is Anderson going to say next?" So here's the comments I often get: Bilous, whatever you're going to say next, I never know. Anderson's up there as well, and then the comments are Marty's facial expressions when he hears you guys. It's like, "Oh my god!"
Yeah, I'll give it that. Yeah, when he tips his head back, when the head goes back, he's trying to get a grip. You know.
Oh, that's it. All right, so guys, let's go to the In the Gym segment, and we're going to head to the gym with John and Marty, and we're going to talk about strength and sensitivity, maximizing muscle growth through nutrient partitioning, and we're going to continue the conversation that we had with Jory here, and really going to lean into, and what I'm hoping we're going to really lean into is John's experience with this, is how resistance training has affected insulin sensitivity. It's one thing just to go into the gym and lift weights, but it's talking about how you're eating the food, what kind of lifting you're doing, and how specific workouts combined with different timing can optimize muscle growth and fat loss. So truthfully, we're going to set this up. We're going to see how it goes. We're going to talk about resistance training, insulin sensitivity, optimizing workouts for muscle growth and fat loss, and then some practical tips along the way. So, Johnny, I hope you can lead this for us here, this conversation around nutrient partitioning and the lifts that we're doing to make us grow and so forth. John, Marty, let's get into the gym, and we're going to come back and wrap up the show in about 12 minutes or so. Okay, guys? Not wrap the show. We're going to wrap up this segment and go to no, we're going to get to the second half of the hour. Keith's just
that's all right. There's brain farts are part of our lives. Don't worry about it, brother. Own that shit.
Let me just get me out of
here. Own it, baby. Own it.
All right.
So I think one of the things that might help our listeners to understand is we know that insulin is really powerful, and let's put it into like a different framework, because right now we think of insulin about recovering from the gym, but realistically what insulin is, it's this transport hormone that's designed to get us back to recovered as quickly as possible. Going back to when life was a really difficult place to survive. If you had to run from a saber-toothed tiger, by the time you finally outran him, if you were alive, you were zapped, and those muscles were beat up. And keep in mind, there wasn't a lot of nutrients at that time. And so it wasn't like we had all we had right now. So when you finally did, outrun that saber-toothed tiger, whatever it was that you had to, fight for your life, whatever it was, your body had a response. Okay, I need to heal quickly because I might have to do this shit again tomorrow. And that's how we survived. The body was designed to survive. So in that setting, insulin comes along and says, okay, basically whatever he eats, I'm going to put it in the right spot so we can get these muscles healed quickly. And obviously when we didn't have enough to eat, insulin wasn't a huge issue. Didn't create this issue of getting fat because you couldn't take in enough calories to get fat from it. Well, now we fast forward into today's times. It still has the same exact function. It helps us heal really fast. But the problem is our workouts don't resemble running for our lives or fighting for our lives. And we've got this abundance of food, and so much of it has very, very little nutrient value. So now we can kind of see where the problems lie. It's designed to help us recover and rebuild very quickly. But in the wrong setting, with the wrong foods, it can really backfire on us. So here's the thing. It doesn't take as much insulin as people think to do the job. So when you got these guys that are like, they're like, I'm going to finish this. I did this really nasty chest workout, which is a little muscle, for Christ's sake. There's not a whole lot of room. That holding tank is not that big. And that people are knocking down a bunch of candy and a bunch of shit like this. Well, number one, they cranked up the insulin really high. And the insulin, basically, now the body is shuttling calories, because there's not a lot of nutrients in the candy they're eating, into the bloodstream and into that broken down muscle to try to heal it. Well, once that muscle has got all it can hold, boom, now it's going into the fat cell. So if you repeat this process a few times a week, even 2-3 times a week, you're going to get fat quickly. Now, let's talk about if you were to just trigger the insulin just enough. So let's just say that you use some sort of a simple sugar, maybe some fruit juice, some sort of there are actually studies that say that fructose and I'm having a brain fart on the other one. Anyway, you can have a combination of two. It's a drink. It'll pop that insulin, and then you eat good nutrient food. That's really the process we're looking for. But the key is not to punch the insulin too hard and not to overeat. So it's a slippery slope. And here's the thing. If you're not some sort of a high level competitor trying to really do something great, it's not going to serve you. If you're in the gym just to get in shape, this is something that's so tricky. And even at the highest level in pro bodybuilding, people misunderstand it and they end up getting fat. And it's really, really easy to happen. So I guess what I would recommend, we've talked about this before, is when you train, just use that window post-training, because when the muscles are broken down, the body is, when you eat, even if you're just eating some sort of a complex carb, the body is going to trigger some insulin because it wants to heal. And if you're using something that's nutrient dense, that's not a real fast, if you're not eating candy, if you're eating a complex carb and some good types of proteins, easy digestible proteins, you're going to get what you want without getting fat, probably. It's just, you eat too much at any point, especially when the insulin level's high, you're going to get fat. So now the question, Mark, did that make sense to you? As if it makes sense to you that
I got a couple of things to add. Yeah.
Break it down, and let's keep breaking this down so it's easy for people to understand,
Well, I want to give some tangible things. When we talk about triggering insulin, we gotta touch on some tangible things. So the first thing, you got to change your mindset towards. Hold on, before that, if your issue is eating terribly, right? You have bad habits. The last thing you need to be doing is trying to find a way to eat candy after your workouts. That's number one right there.
Yes.
And like one is Rice Krispie treats, gummy bears, all of this stuff. Get that crap out of there. So that's number one. Number two, you got to change your mindset towards food, right? So we talked about it earlier with Jory, right? Eating for purpose and not pleasure. Right. So that you keep trying to look for ways to pleasure yourself. How can I get this to taste good? How can I get away with enjoying my favorite candy bar or my favorite snack? Right. You got to get that out the window and change your mindset. And then as far as workouts, we're not asking you to be Olympians and kill yourself or work yourself like you're running from a saber-toothed tiger. But you do have to go in there and challenge yourself, too. So, if we're going to talk about triggering insulin sensitivity, let's. I think we need to dive into what type of workout should you be doing, right? So we got resistance training, right? And you do need to train for some hypertrophy, and you do need to train for some muscle endurance. You need to mix it up. What other type of what other type of training do they need to do, John?
Well, I think that, going back to that example of the muscle being a holding tank, when you burn that muscle out, when that muscle's burned out, that tank is empty. So there's some space for you to basically shuttle nutrients in there quickly. And so resistance training is going to target the muscles. It's going to break down the muscles. If you're doing, if you're an endurance athlete, obviously it's going to burn the bloodstream first, then it's going to go into the liver. So it's kind of a different style of training. And you keep in mind, insulin has its place for every type of athlete, but it has a different place for every type of athlete. I mean, for the most part, realistically, for the general person who's trying to get in shape, probably the best thing you could do is forget about how to try to trigger your insulin to help you, because, for the most part, it's so complex. It's so fucking slippery. You're better off to just eat right, train right, make sure you eat some good nutrients after your workout. You eat good food. Your insulin is going to trigger, and it's going to do its job. As long as you don't overeat, you're getting the benefit from it, and you're not wasting all this time and energy trying to figure out how to do it. The body does it by itself. It's when we start doing this dumb shit like eating candy, trying to make it trigger harder, that we fuck shit up. And that's another thing too. People become diabetic from triggering, eating too much sugar. So if you're constantly doing this trigger insulin, think of it like this.
Exactly.
Your insulin's like a light switch, right? It's boom, you're turning it on and off. And it was only, let's just say, just for the sake of this discussion, it was only designed to have 100,000 on-offs before it breaks. Well, if you're triggering this shit all the time, you're going to burn through that number of clicks, and it's going to break. Now, guess what? You're a fucking diabetic. So we weren't designed as human beings during a time where we even had the possibility to trigger our insulin that much. So it was very easy for us not to become diabetic because we didn't have the resources to flip that switch over and over. An average American is probably flipping that switch, multiple times per day. And when I say multiple, every time you eat something that's processed with a bunch of sugar, boom, you're popping that son of a bitch. Well, guess what? That's another one of your clicks. And pretty soon you're going to use up all your clicks. That switch is going to break. Now you're diabetic. Why it's the average food in North America has become so rich in sugar that's why we have this massive epidemic of diabetes, because especially the way the kids are eating now, they're flipping that switch all day long. Next thing you know, they're 15, 16, 17, and the switch is fucking broken. Well, guess what? You just signed up for a lifelong problem, all because you didn't understand how the whole thing works. So forget about that. My recommendation is forget about this shit. Just train, eat properly after your workout, and it's going to happen the way it should happen.
In many ways, John, as you, Marty, have been talking about this and I've been listening in on it, it reminds our listeners to continue to choose those single ingredient foods. Yes, it's easy to go into the GNC. Yes, it's easy to go and buy the protein bar. Yes, it's easy to go buy the quick fix foods along the way. And I know this is cliche and obvious, but I'm going to state it anyways. That's what's causing the problems, isn't it? You're going to the health food store. You're buying those packaged foods, and it's killing you.
And it's not even the health food store; it's the fucking grocery store. I mean,
the regular store.
Everything we eat is filled with sugar. The sugar content is fucking sky high. Here's the thing: in crackers, for Christ's sake, there's sugar in crackers. You just can't taste it because they put the salt in there, which then offsets the sugar, but it has this really rich flavor that you can't wait to have another one. Well, guess what? Most processed foods are messing with your insulin. And I guess the simplest way to do it, like you said, Keith, if you go to single ingredient foods, that's going to eliminate almost all of the problems that we're talking about. I mean, not to mention what we're talking about here. You'll feel better. You'll sleep better. If you're fat, you'll start losing body fat. You won't even know why. It's like the processed foods that are so sugar heavy is the root of all this issue.
I want to add this in too. So those of you that are listening to this understand that you're going to see marketing for, hey, try this plan. You can eat whatever you want, right?
Yeah,
try this.
bullshit.
You don't have to stop the pizza. You don't have to stop the crackers. You don't have to stop the sweets. So understand everything we're talking about, that people are going to tell you these things to try to get your money because, folks are always going to look for a shortcut. So keep that in mind and just know that, switching to single ingredient foods and doing things the right way, the scientific proven way, is always going to be superior to these ways, these new trends. And hey, try my 60-day program where you can do whatever the fuck you want. That's not going to work. So just want to throw that in there too.
Yeah.
And
Nation, as we come up towards November and as we're approaching No Month, the month where we're encouraging you to make more decisions that point in the direction of no, so you can work towards making some decisions that help you towards your big goals, which move towards, yes. Maybe one of those decisions you want to consider is cutting sugar out of your diet, cutting sugar out of your daily food habits, cutting sugar. And maybe just, I'm going to make some suggestions and recommendations, Nation. You can make the decision, but maybe you're sitting back going, okay, it's November, but it's No Month. Maybe I'm not going to eat sugar this week, or I'm going to go make some better decisions. And then as John and Marty said, see how you feel about yourself. See how you feel when you look in the mirror, when you start making decisions without sugar involved. And I'll tell you, I've done it. I've created that awareness from I'm not going to eat sugar. And when you focus on eating the healthy sugars that are in your single ingredient foods and not processed sugars, man, you feel great, you look great, and magic happens, as I like to say.
But it's not fun, Keith.
No, exactly, Marty. It's not fun. And it's not fun, Nation. However, it is fun when you sit back and think about it, because what's fun is knowing you're going to live to 80, 90, go hiking with your kids, walking with your kids, eating whole ingredient foods forever.
We got to define fun here. We got to define fun.
Exactly. Yeah.
I mean, because people that think eating how they want to is fun, they don't know how bad they feel because they've never felt good. Once you feel good, that's not fun anymore.
Well, Johnny, I'm going to talk about it. So I'll be the guy listening right now. So this was fun to me, eating these things. I'm not going to lie. I love peanut butter and chocolate. As a matter of fact, October 31st comes National Peanut Butter and Chocolate Day. I love this. I fucking love it. It's fun to me. But you know what I hate more than the fun that's enjoying this? I hate how I feel when it's done. I hate how I feel the next day. That's not fun.
Well, brother, it's like a cocaine user saying cocaine is fun.
Exactly, Johnny. But I bring it up. I bring it up to relate to our audience, because we know there's guys, John and Marty, listening to this right now. I go, yeah, but Keith, I like eat my chocolate bar. Well, guys, so do I. But I've been around the planet long enough to know that's why this thing is still sealed. It's still sealed, because I've learned long enough in my lifetime that fun is short-lived. That fun, I can crush this in probably less than 5 minutes.
And check this out. Let's take it one step further with this. This is factual. This is not my opinion. I believe this, but now that it's proven, I was living it. So sugar is an addiction, like a full-blown addiction.
Oh, yeah.
Yes.
And here's how this is how bad it is. So literally, when a person that's addicted to sugar has this idea of eating, like they think, oh, I'm going to eat that big peanut butter cup.
Yeah.
Their brain releases some shit into their bloodstream that makes it okay, no matter what someone says. Now, the comparison is this. That heroin addict that's fucking jonesing, right? When he hears a knock on the door from his dealer, boom, that same thing happens.
Yep.
And there is nothing that anybody is going to say to make that guy not shoot up.
That's dangerous.
Well, there's nothing that anybody's going to say that's going to stop a person from eating that big fucking peanut butter cup, because they've proven that the addiction center of the brain doesn't understand the difference between heroin or fucking sugar.
Yeah. Yeah. So I bring it up, Nation, because I've been there, and I know Johnny's been there and Marty's been there.
Yep.
I've been there. So, and as we continue to build this show, I keep this thing taped up on my desk to remind myself about how good it makes me feel, but how good it actually doesn't make me feel. How it makes me feel horrible, how it beats my brain up, how it makes me feel just like a piece of shit. Right. So, and in funny ways, guys, I keep this on my desk almost in a sadomasochistic way to remind myself about how it doesn't make me feel good, Johnny. Right. So anyways, guys, great conversation today. Wonderful conversation. Jimmy, let's bring up producer Flynn on the stage here. We're going to work towards wrapping up the show with Community Corner, and going to quickly reflect. And I know Marty's got to get rock and roll. And Johnny, you got to rock and roll today as well?
I do, yes.
So we're gonna quickly wrap up our show.
We're behind on some social. We're behind on some social media, so I got some shit I got to do.
Let's go, man.
Let's quickly go around the table. Great conversation today. Flynn, let's start with you. Highlights of today's show.
I mean, I thought I didn't know anything about partitioning. So for me, it was really interesting to learn about the specifics from Jory and the crew. And then it's just so specific, this information. Yeah. Where else are you going to get it? Where else are you going to get these dudes and Jory talking about the specific, really detailed shit that they're talking about? You're just not going to do it.
Yeah, I agree. Marty, what did you get from today's show, brother?
Man, Jon Andersen and Kainatsky going back and forth.
Yeah,
I love that.
Yes,
that was pretty good. That was pretty entertaining.
Yeah,
I was blowing Keith's phone up the whole time. Y'all didn't see. I didn't know though. Yeah, I was blowing Keith's phone up. But
what was it that you liked about that, brother?
Nah, it's just like you got two different philosophies, but you guys are both, doing kicking ass.
You're both kicking ass. Yeah. They're both right.
Yeah, and you're both right. Yeah. So I thought that was great. And then I was real quickly. I'm scrolling on Instagram before we start the show. I see John pop up. I'm like, I'm about to hear this shit on the show. I turned my phone off. Good shit today, John.
Good shit today.
I love it.
Johnny, what you think today's show, brother?
I think that obviously we're talking about some really, really misunderstood, detailed shit about insulin and whatnot. And I think that, I'm happy. And I'm just glad that as a show, we're also keeping our eye on the prize of not just talking about this complex shit, but also helping people understand that it's a slippery slope and it might be a waste of time to be focusing on something that, it's may not be helpful. I guess when it comes down to, we're taking some stuff that's really complex and breaking it down into a simple format so people have the ability to make decisions for themselves based upon something they understand.
Yes. John, so since I've met you and I have a lot of respect for your position on, I like to simplify things. And I love that perspective. For me though, and again, we're the same age. As I've gotten older, I find myself more curious and wanting to learn more about things, learning data. Right. And because we have so much data and so much technology now, I continue to lean into that stuff. I loved your example about insulin sensitivity and just the tank of the muscle, right? And how you use Jory's explanation on and how you really simplified it for all of us. But I really am going to keep taking our conversations here to keep leaning into things that maybe aren't as simple, because people like myself are curious. Like I love leaning into data I want to use data to help me live longer. I want to use data to take some of the old bro science and wash it away. But I like how you can take your 40 years of everyday experience and bring that to the table. That to me is magical, because you can bring Jory's knowledge, you can bring Marty's knowledge, and then you can take this is how it works in the real world. And this is how it works when you put your food in the body and the muscle goes here. I'm like, oh yeah, I get that. That makes sense to me. So really, really helpful.
Well, because on that level, just to kind of go what you're saying, is because people, they get really stuck in the why. And if it's too detailed, they spend too much time in the why. When what I'm all about is, okay, let's understand that why as simply as we can, so we can get on with the how. Yes. Because the how we get better is where we want to spend our time, not getting lost in the details of the why that you may not never understand.
Yes,
so
but some folks, Johnny, want to understand the why, right? So, for example, if you and I are working together, you're saying, Keith, eat this, and I'm like, yeah, but why? Right? So I'll
break it down simple so you understand. Check the box. Let's fucking get going.
Yeah, but that's what I like, right? So
you're good at that, Johnny.
I'm trying to bring the listener to the table going, yeah, but why?
Yeah.
Right. And because it takes your 40 years of knowledge and you're saying, but here's why, Keith. Oh, okay, I get it. Right. So I thought today's show was great. I thought Mike Kainatsky offered some nuggets. And what we've learned, guys, and Marty goes back to what Johnny always says, right? The guy who's wrong or the guy who's right, both are right. Right. And it's which approach do you want to take?
The guy who says he can and the guy who says he can't are both correct.
Or it's the believe. The guy who believes, whatever he believes is what he's going to do. You know, and that's when it comes down to it. What do you believe? Be careful what you think, because what you think translates into what you believe real fucking quick.
That's it. Exact. Okay. So before we wrap it up, two quick things with John and Marty still on stage. I want to wrap up two quick comments. So first of all, comment number one, I want to quickly just call a public shout out to my lovely, I'm so proud of my wife, Lauren, Marty. She did a second marathon. She ran a second half marathon again yesterday. PB'd it. She ran against 740 females here in Winnipeg. She came in 114.
Hey, that's awesome.
There you go.
Kicking butt.
She beat her last one by a whole minute. And I'm really proud of that, baby. So I listen, I loved watching that commitment, and she went and killed it yesterday. So good job on that. And secondly, nation, for all of us and for all you tuning in, Friday, over 1,100 of you guys showed up on Friday. And today, another 1,200 and counting showed up again today. So on behalf of Keith, Marty, Johnny, Coach Flynn, and producer Jimmy, we're thanking you guys for showing up, helping us build this big, massive morning show. We can't do it with you guys. So you guys tuning in and showing up and liking the show, subscribing to the show, telling friends and commenting is only giving us the energy to keep building this fucking rocket ship. And as Johnny says, you're watching this airplane turn into a rocket ship in real time. We're building it as we fly. So I'm full of gratitude, thanking you guys for showing up every single day with us. It's a lot of fun, man. And man, the numbers just keep doing this. Fuck man, Marty, Johnny, Kristina, over 1,200 today so far.
It's amazing.
That's just a down payment, baby. It's just a down payment.
Just down payment. I remember.
Celebrate the W's along the way. We like to do that because it's important to remind ourselves of the direction we're going and that people are responding.
And one last thing, to those of you that are wondering whether you should start today or you want to start next Monday or start next Wednesday or start next Thursday, I'm just going to remind you with this. It was March, and I said to myself, I want to do this morning show. When should I start? I'm starting on Monday. And on that Monday, March 11th, nobody showed up. Today, over 1,200 of you guys showed up. What's the message? John, Marty, Kristina, just get started and figure it out as you go.
You know, and as long as these numbers are great, but you strip it all away, you peel all the layers of this onion back. As long as we affect one person every day, we did our job.
I agree. So thank you, nation, for showing up with us. We love showing up with you, and we get out of bed every single day, 4 a.m., 3 a.m., whatever time it is. We get up to start this show at 8 o'clock Eastern time. Yes, Eastern time, even though Keith's on Central and Johnny's on Pacific, but Flynn and Marty are on Eastern time, and the world's on Eastern time, so we cater to Flynn and Marty. Yes, Johnny, we know. Right, you do. 8 o'clock Eastern time, mornings in the lab with Keith and friends. You know where to find us. Marty, Johnny, have yourselves an awesome day today, and I look forward to rock and roll with you guys tomorrow morning, okay?
Thank
Sounds
God,
good. Y'all have a good one, man.
I'm just about ready to piss my pants.
I'm dribbling, man. I'm dribbling.
That's it. I said I I got a dribble going. I'll see you in the morning. See you tomorrow.
All right, guys, have a good one. Have a good one. All right, you're left with Keith and Kristina here for Community Corner, the last 30 minutes of the show. And at this point, we get into what we like to call is the Creator Spotlight. And we take
wait. We got to do a quick little shout out to Random Rick Reviews. We see you in the chat. We definitely do. There's always interaction. We love it. We love bringing people up, and we appreciate you. So thank you.
Oh, I see that. I see that Rick Reviews there. I missed that comment there, Kristina. So thanks for calling it out for us. I'm just going to pull us over to this camera over here. And we got good time here to do. Oh, yeah. So no chat. Oh, yeah. Sorry, Random. Listen. Thanks to Tina, catching my back over here. But yes, we absolutely like to call up folks here on the show. We love to have you involved in the show. So, and Fit Presenter, I appreciate you showing up here today. It was a great show today. It was an absolutely great show today. Good time. I see you there as well. And I appreciate you showing up today always. And good time. I hope you're getting your walks going in there. I know you've been rocking and rolling with us, but let's keep this machine going. Okay, Tina. Jimmy, let's go to our Creator Spotlight. So right now we want to talk about a transparent storyteller. Yeah. Built an organic following. Tina, 300,000 people by sharing not just her successes. Nope. But her failures. We know how failures are celebrated here, Tina. So this person built over 300,000 people by sharing not just her successes, but her followers, driving nearly not 10, not 20. Nope. 30 million impressions on LinkedIn through real human storytelling. Go figure. Yeah, let's go. Real human storytelling. It works. It works, nation. This human, a resilient entrepreneur, despite launching Brodo, little hint there, in 2019, taking it nationwide, and filing for bankruptcy in 2024, this human embraces failure as a badge of honor. Definitely a business athlete, clearly, showing that trying and failing is a crucial part to success. Listen, you can't have love without hate. You can't have success. You can't have success without failure. This human is a personal branding expert who now provides consulting to help others develop their own personal brands, guiding them to reach their fullest potential through authenticity and transparency. So today's Creator Spotlight for Mornings in the Lab with Keith and Friends is this human being with the last name that I went to school with. It is
my drum roll.
It is Erica.
Hey!
Erica Rankin. Good morning. We are celebrating you here today on Mornings in the Lab with Keith and Friends. Excited to do that. Kristina, why are we celebrating Erica Rankin from Toronto, Canada today?
So we talk about the importance of storytelling, and we talk about the importance of being your true, authentic self. Erica is this great example of somebody who was able to build a following, but admits that it wasn't really her true, authentic self at first. She talks about the fact that focus on external validation, that focus on what everyone else is going to think, led her down some paths that she's either not proud of or she just owns and accepts as the reality of her life. But she talks very openly about them. And now we see this transformation in somebody who's able to say, like, yeah, I was doing a lot of things. She was a sex worker for a period of time. She's like, I was so focused on my external presentation that I engaged in a lot of plastic surgery. She's talking about like what was, and she's putting it all out there. I don't think you always have to put it all out there, but I do think Erica's a beautiful example of what can happen when you do. I don't think it's just about building the personal brand. I think there's a lot of self-healing and personal growth that can happen when you're exposing yourself to building in this way. And you're just owning the parts of yourself that you've never really talked about before. You don't have to do it by any means, but Erica's a great example of what can come of it. And she's showing us how to do that. And she's doing it every single day online. And I fucking love it.
Wow. So I don't know, Erica, just meeting her, over the last couple hours through Kristina's posting on Creator Spotlight. I'm a fan. Dude, I'm a fan. Looking at her content, looking at how she puts herself out there, looking at her story, Kristina. Again, you've known me long enough. When I see stories like this, here's what happens to Keith. He wants to walk closer. Like, so we got Seth Kuhn coming
And
up.
there's obviously, there's almost 80,000 people that are doing the same thing. Like, whoa. And you
Right?
should see the comments that she gets on her posts.
Yeah.
It's this example of what we talk about all the time that's LinkedIn is missing. It's just real. She's just like, yeah, you know what? I fucking had to file for bankruptcy because I launched a company and I thought I've had it all figured out and was doing really well. And then it blew up. And how many of us can appreciate and resonate with the fact that you put a lot behind something and then it blows up? That's real. That's real life. And people want that information and they want to hear from people that have overcome that and are transforming as a result of those things of real life happening to them.
It takes balls. I look at her about, like I look at Erica's about section, Kristina. I'm like, that takes balls. It takes balls to write that. It takes balls to put it out there. And then most importantly, it takes balls to stand behind it. It's like, oh yeah, I did this and then I filed for bankruptcy and I'm still here.
I can't change who I am. I can look back on the decisions that I've made and own it. Just own who you are. Don't be ashamed of it.
I love it. Erica, I'm a fan. I would love to have you on the show. Would love to hear your story. Would love to hear how you got here. The fact that you embrace failure makes you an absolute business athlete because Erica, you can't have success without failure. And your vulnerability makes me, like I said to Kristina moments ago, makes me want to walk towards you. So nation, I invite you, go check out Erica Rankin over on LinkedIn. Go check out what she's up to. She's clearly doing some great work. And if you're looking for some tips on how to be a vulnerable, authentic human, hey, Kristina, just go follow Erica Rankin because she'll give you some good advice on how to be she'll be a good example on how to be a great, authentic human being. So, Erica, congratulations, Creator Spotlight. And listen, I bet you know somebody, Erica. I know you know somebody that you're like, hey, I like the work they're doing. Well, come tell Kristina or myself, come on to the show, nominate them. We'll celebrate somebody else that you know for today's Creator Spotlight. So, all right, Kristina, that was awesome, man. I'm a big fan of that. And we're going to continue expanding our Creator Spotlights as we keep growing the show here. The plan is to expand this onto other platforms outside of LinkedIn, and I know we're focusing as much as we can onto Substack and some other platforms. But love this part of the show. Okay, Tina, business and branding is up next, where you and I sit back and talk about business and branding. And it looks like today we're going to talk about the boundaries of saying no in business and branding. And I just don't want, before we get into this, I want to just call you out and congratulate you for what you said, because I loved your personal brand bite and it drove some conversation earlier. So many people wake up thinking that, oh yeah, I got to get my logo done. I got to get this done, get that done. It's not your brand. Nobody cares. All right. So I love that you called that out. And I loved Quillen's comments and some people's comments, because sometimes we need to be reminded of that. Right. And, but I'll also say sometimes when we're stuck, I'm going to give permission to this. So Kristina, sometimes when we're stuck getting started, just taking a day to do that is a helpful thing.
It is. Take a day. Just don't pay somebody $2,500.
Yeah.
And I say that with love because I've been there. I've spent the money. And it's not to say the work is not valuable. The work is incredibly valuable. It's at the right time though. And what I think gets confused is that is the representation of what brand is. That's what a lot of people know brand to be. So they think they're making the right step. They think, okay, that's what I need to do. I need to name my company. I need to figure out what my logo is. What font am I going to use? Nobody knows what the fuck font you're using. Nobody cares what the fuck font you're using. They don't, because you can have the most beautiful brand. And if it says nothing, if there's nothing deep that resonates with your audience about it, nobody will give a shit.
I almost seem like we need to create a segment of the show or do a series of shows, Kristina, which is teaching people that this is going to sound condescending, what a brand is. And a brand is not a logo. A brand is not your font. A brand is actually something that goes underneath all of that. And it's actually not really tangible.
What does it mean? What does it say? How does it make people feel? What's the resonance that it has with folks? Yes.
So let's continue. Let's continue to talk about the importance of boundaries and saying no. Because as you know, nation, in less than 10 days, we're going into November, the month of no, right? A month where we are inviting you to say no so that you can say yes to something you really want to achieve. Because before you know it, December is going to be here. Before you know it, December 31st is going to be here. And before you know it, you're going to be inundated with these concepts of, oh, it's New Year's resolutions. I got to do something. I got to do something. No, just don't. Pause now. Look at November and say, okay, I got to stop doing something so I can really hit a big goal. So today we're going to talk about why boundaries matter and saying no in business and branding. Number one, why boundaries matter. Preserves mental energy, focusing on the high impact opportunities. Kristina, let's talk about this.
So boundaries are hard, and they've been really hard for me. I think they're hard for a lot of entrepreneurs because a lot of entrepreneurs are really high performers, and we didn't get to where we are deciding to start a company by not doing a lot of shit.
Yeah.
I have said oftentimes, I'm much better when I have a lot of shit on my plate. Like, for whatever reason, when I have too much time to do something, I just fucking put it off and put it off and put it off. So I like taking things on. It helps me to organize things, and it keeps me excited and engaged. What happens though is I take on too much.
Yes.
And ultimately, when you're taking on too much as a business owner, it's so easy for us to start saying no to all the other things in our lives that we really need to do, or start saying no to opportunities that might be the right thing that you should be doing. If you don't have a clear idea on the direction that you're going, and that's kind of, to me, the first step about boundaries. It's not just saying no, it's saying like, okay, where do I want to be? What do I want to do? Where do I want to focus on? If you can articulate what that is, then everything you do should ladder back to that for a period of time. So that's where you need to start from my end. Where do you start?
It's taken me some time to learn where to start, because I have been one who's always said yes my whole life, Kristina. Yes, 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 yes. That's because I was taught as an entrepreneur, you always say yes when someone, because you're always saying to yourself, well, that person's a potential customer, so you got to say yes.
Possible opportunity. Oh my God. Everything's an opportunity.
Yes. So I've had to learn, Kristina, and it took me till probably my late 30s and 40s. Oh, wait a minute. It's powerful saying no. It's actually powerful to say no so I can say yes to things that are important. Very, very difficult to do. And it's been a skill that I've had to learn how to do. And I will say that the biggest thing for me, Kristina, was learning how to say no so that I could say yes to the big things, but not be worried about the fear of missing out, the FOMO, by saying no to something. And I think that's something that perpetuates on a lot of us entrepreneurs.
Yeah. And I think that's why it's so important to establish those foundations of why you want to set up these boundaries and why you want to say no to things, because otherwise it gets too sexy. Like, the possible opportunity gets too sexy. You're excited about this.
Let's reframe boundaries, because I think people listening to us think of boundaries as a bad thing. And I bring it up because I've spent my time going through a psychologist through my years of growing up as a human being, learning what boundaries were as a partner, as a spouse, as a father, and as an entrepreneur. When people hear boundaries, they think immediately of restrictions. I know I've gotten to know you. When I say boundaries to you, you kind of go, oh, you become rigid, because it's like I'm saying you can't do something. Let's reframe that, Kristina. Let's reframe boundaries and turn it into an opportunity instead of a negative. How would you address that?
Just with what I was saying, like, what is addition by subtraction is something, those moments throughout your career where people say something. One of an old executive I used to work with in sports said it one time, and I was like, whoa, like I was fucking high or something. And he said the most prophetic thing, but I had never really contemplated that idea of, you are going to add so much more opportunity if you subtract all of the bullshit. And oftentimes that's the hard part. So having a clear idea on your why, on why you want to set boundaries, why they're important, because you want to focus on XYZ. That's the first step. And then you've got this really clear idea and vision of, okay, I need to assess everything that comes up, all opportunities that come up against those foundations that I've set. I need to say, okay, I've learned. I don't say yes on the spot ever anymore, because I don't say no on the spot ever anymore. I tend to say, I need to take that back. I actually don't know anything that's in my brain. I can't trust my brain. I need to take it back and I need to actually look at what I've got down. And then I have this safe space to be able to assess it against what I'm trying to do without feeling badly about potentially disappointing somebody else, which is a problem for me. So I take it back and I say, I can't answer anything on the spot. And then when I go back, what I've been doing that seems to have people responding pretty well is being really honest and saying, hey, I got to say no to this. And the reason I got to say no to this is because I'm trying to hold myself accountable to saying no to anything that lives outside of the boundaries that I've set for myself. It's not to say what you're doing isn't valuable. I really love what you're doing and I would love to support it. I simply can't do that right now because I need to focus on where I'm focusing. And the response people get is like a lot of fucking respect. Nobody's upset. Everyone's like, you know what? Congrats. Well done. That's awesome. Because most people need to do the same things themselves.
I'm glad you said that. And I think this is a great way for us to wrap the segment up, Kristina, because most of us humans are unable to do what you just said. So when we do it in front of somebody, it's like you're shining the mirror at somebody going, oh, fuck, you did it because I can't do it, which is saying it is hard. So when you get in front of another human and then offer up your boundaries, they're like, oh,
they're like, slow clap. That's awesome. Good for you.
It's immediate respect. It took me too long in life to learn that. So again, if I can offer up nuggets to nation, like our audience, those 25 to 54-year-olds, I'm the old guy here. If I can offer something to you, just tell somebody else to say, I don't know the answer, or just say to somebody, you know what? I'm figuring out my boundaries. I got to say no to you right now before I figure it out. And I'm going to tell you that person on the other side of the conversation is going to go, holy smokes, man. Good for you for having the courage to put a boundary up. It's true. It's really true because most of us want to say yes. Most of us want to please the other person. And when we put a boundary up, that usually equates to disappointment. So if we can flip the script and say, you know what, Kristina, I don't know if I can do that right now because I got some boundaries up. You're going to go, holy smokes. He's actually saying no, but he's actually saying yes. He's giving me a reason. And I respect that.
And what you're trying to not do is disappoint them. Yeah. But in actuality, what you're saying is you are more important than me. Yes. You are more important than my family. And that's been something like my wife had to call me out on it and be like, why is it so critical for you to not disappoint anybody else that's asking you for something? But in the end, you're disappointed. I'm disappointed. The kids are disappointed. Like, why the fuck is everyone else more important than us? And that's something I've had to think about.
It goes back to what we talked about at the beginning of the show with Michael Kainatsky and scheduling your calendar, right? So, Erin sits down with you and she says, Kristina, I'm looking at your calendar and there's no time for you and me in it. Your time's with everybody else. So, Kristina, why haven't you put boundaries around your calendar so there can be time for Kristina and Erin? You're like, oh, I never even thought about that, right? It's the same mentality. It's boundaries to protect yourself so that you can protect those around you that are important.
And if you don't do it, I promise you, like if you don't do it ahead of time, you'll never do it on the spot.
Ever.
It's a possible task. So you have to have that ahead of time. You have to build those things into your calendar or whatever your process is for managing your time. If you don't do it and you wait to give that response in the moment, you're never going to do it because everything seems really fucking important in the moment. Everything seems like the biggest deal or the biggest opportunity. And in reality, it's just not.
It's true. It's true. So Nation, I'm going to invite you as we're wrapping up our conversation today with no month around the corner. I'm going to invite you to consider today to say no to something, whether you're hearing this right now live, 10 o'clock Eastern time, or whether you're hearing it throughout the day and you're going, I don't want to do that right now. Then don't do it. Say no to something so you can say yes to something later. Don't be afraid to set a boundary and don't look at a boundary as a negative. Look at a boundary as a plan. Look at a boundary as a roadmap. Look at a boundary as a value. That's how I would invite you to look at it. Kristina, great show today. Over 1,200 people showed up. Great conversation, great dialogue, and the momentum doesn't stop. Tomorrow, MC Bork coming to join us. We're going to talk about creating your most awesome self. Big conversation. Rich Ingram's going to join us tomorrow as well. So I'm looking forward to tomorrow's show. And of course, we got a full week of shows all week as well. So Flinner, let's go have a great day today. Nation, go and get after the day today. Felix, I know you're tuning in. We're going to rock and roll after this. And Jimmy.
Hey, Felix.
I appreciate all
to meet you.
I appreciate all your help, Jimmy, today as well. And Nation, you guys go get a good one. Random Rick, I appreciate you joining us. And I promise to address you tomorrow. If you haven't subscribed to the channel, please subscribe to it. Like the channel. Tell your friends about it. We go live every single day, 8 o'clock Eastern time, right here on YouTube, X, and LinkedIn. And I got my hand motions everywhere. I'm excited today. Good time. Thanks for joining up. Fit Presenter, thanks for joining up. Always respect and love having you in the show here, Mike, and Boss, and so forth. So Tina, have a good one. Jimmy, have a good one. We'll talk to you guys a little later, all right? Ciao. See you guys.